What if I told you that the fate of World War II, the lives of millions, the future of Europe, once hung on the words of a man who never fired a gun, a man who never stormed a trench, never led a charge, never carried a weapon? Instead, his arsenal was made of typewriters, forged documents, and an imagination so vast it fooled the most paranoid dictator in history. This isn't a spy novel. This is the true story of Juan Pujol Garcia, the double agent who tricked Hitler so completely the Fuhrer gave him a medal without ever realizing he was working for the enemy. Juan Pujol was born in 1912 in Catalonia, Spain, the son of a middle-class family. He grew up in a country divided by politics, torn between monarchy, republic, and rising authoritarianism. He was not ambitious, not radical. He dreamed only of living a quiet life, far from violence. But history had other plans. When the Spanish Civil War erupted in 1936, Pujol found himself in a nightmare. He despised both factions, the fascist nationalists under Franco and the far-left Republicans who were just as ruthless. To survive, he did the unthinkable. He switched sides. First conscripted by the Republicans, then later the nationalists. He served in both armies, yet never once fired a shot. It was kind of a moral gymnastics, a hatred of extremes. And when the war ended in Franco's victory, Pujol emerged disillusioned, disgusted by politics, disgusted by violence, and determined never to serve tyranny. Then came Hitler, and then came Poland, then came World War II. From a small hotel in Madrid, Pujol watched Europe slide into chaos once more. He knew fascism would not stop at Spain's borders. He had lived through one civil war already. He swore he would not sit idle during another. Determined to fight for freedom, Pujol approached the British embassy in Madrid. He offered to spy for them, to risk his life, to serve the Allied cause. The British dismissed him, politely, then coldly, then outright ignored him. He was a nobody. No training, no connections, no experience. What use could he be? But Pujol was stubborn. If the British wouldn't take him, he would trick the Germans first. He marched into the German embassy, introduced himself as Senor Lopez, and offered his services to the Reich. He claimed he had access to British officials, that he would build a spy network inside London itself. And incredibly, the Germans believed him. They handed him invisible ink, money, and instructions. They told him to report back from England. There was just one problem. Juan Pujol had never even set foot in Britain. From Lisbon, armed only with a typewriter, tourist guides, and sheer imagination, Pujol created an entire fictional spy network. He invented 27 agents, each with their own names, personalities, and backstories. A dock worker in Liverpool who reported on shipping schedules, a Welsh nationalist in Cardiff who despised the English, a society woman in London who whispered secrets from upper-class parties. None of them existed, but Pujol described them in such detail the Germans never suspected. When one agent died, Pujol even filed expense reports for the widow's pension. The Abwehr paid it without question. His reports weren't flawless. He once claimed Glaswegians preferred wine over beer, a dead giveaway of inexperience. But the Germans overlooked it. Why? Because much of his intel was padded with scraps of real information, copied from newspapers, timetables, and BBC broadcasts. The Germans gave him the codename Aller. To them, he was one of their best spies. To the British, still unaware, he was a curiosity. By 1942, MI5 could no longer ignore the strange reports bouncing between Lisbon and Berlin. When they finally confronted Poolhole, he revealed everything. He wasn't loyal to Germany. He wanted to serve Britain all along. At first, they doubted him, but when they saw the sheer scale of his fictional network and how deeply the Germans trusted him, they realized they had stumbled upon a gold mine. They gave him a new codename, Garbo, after the actress Greta Garbo, because he was the greatest actor they had ever seen. From that moment, Juan Poolhole Garcia became one of the most valuable double agents in history. Every message he sent was now carefully crafted by MI5, blending truth and lies to manipulate German strategy. And still, the Germans never suspected a thing. In November 1942, the Allies launched Operation Torch, invading North Africa. Poolhole reported it to the Germans, but only after it happened. He blamed postal delays. The message was so detailed, so convincing, that the Germans praised him for his excellent intelligence, even though it was useless. That was when MI5 realized the scale of their weapon. Garbo wasn't just a spy, he was a legend in the making. By 1944, the Allies faced their greatest gamble, D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. Its success depended on one thing: convincing Hitler the attack would not come at Normandy. Operation Fortitude was born, an elaborate web of fake armies, inflatable tanks, dummy airfields, and false radio chatter. But all of it needed one voice to make it believable. That voice was Garbo's. Between January and June 1944, Garbo sent more than 500 messages to Berlin. He warned of phantom divisions massing in Kent. He invented entire generals, battalions, and supply lines. He convinced the Germans that the real invasion would fall at Pas de Calais, not Normandy. When Allied troops stormed the beaches on June 6th, the Germans hesitated. Garbo quickly sent another message. Normandy was just a diversion. The real invasion was still to come. Hitler believed him. For weeks, 350,000 German troops stood idle at Calais, waiting for an attack that never came. Meanwhile, Allied forces poured into Normandy, secured the beachhead, and began the liberation of Europe. D-Day succeeded, not just with tanks and planes, but with one man's lies. Hitler was so convinced, he awarded Garbo the Iron Cross, one of Nazi Germany's highest honors. Imagine it. The Führer decorated the very spy who helped seal his defeat. After the war, Poolhole disappeared. He faked his death, moved to Venezuela, and lived quietly as a teacher and chicken farmer. For decades, the world believed he was gone. Only in the 1980s was his story rediscovered. Journalists tracked him down, older, wiser, but still modest. When asked why he did it, his answer was simple. He had seen too much war. He wanted to save lives, not take them. Historians still call him the spy who saved D-Day. Intelligence agencies still study his deception as one of the greatest feats in espionage. Because Juan Poolhole Garcia proved that sometimes the sharpest weapon in war is not a gun, but a lie told in the service of peace. History never dies, it just echoes.